Hi, my name is Deb Weathers, and this was my home for the last 30 years. Hopefully it'll be my home again, although we haven't decided yet whether to come back or not. What happened, obviously, is we suffered from the devastating lightning complex fire. We've been here for 30 years, and for 30 years we've actually been planning for fires. A lot of that planning was cutting down trees and brush. We had the fire department up multiple times during the summer to look at what we had been doing and to make recommendations. We even had CAL FIRE come up and take a look. We have had fires here before, and they've actually staged here. They've staged out in this field, and they've come up in it, and they've always have said that our place has been incredibly defensible. It's one of the most defensible properties, they said, in this canyon. This year, after the lightning began, it was hot, it was dry, and we began watching the reports as to where the fires were. We were looking at the fire, and that was clear over to the north of Berryessa. We kept watching it all day and listening to the scanners, and it was dead calm. For us, if it had been real windy, I would have evacuated my horses much sooner than we did. And in fact, I have a very dear friend who kept calling me throughout the day saying, should I come help you evacuate now? And I kept saying, no, it looks good. I mean, the fires are on the north side of Berryessa, there's no wind, we should be fine. And I said that because we've been evacuating 5 years in a row. We know the routine, we know the drill, and it just seemed like another, okay, there's a fire clear over on Berryessa, we'll watch it and make sure that all is good. She gave me one more phone call at 11 o'clock at night and said, before I go to bed, do you want me to come up and help evacuate? And once again, I was very confident that no, we were okay. I mean, I have 6 horses up here, and she was willing to come up with her rig and help me take the horses to a much safer area so that we could have a good night's sleep. And I thought, no problem, Ann, just, go to bed, but thanks. At 1 o'clock in the morning, I got a phone call from OES, and it was a recording saying that all residents need to evacuate, and they gave roads, and one of the roads was where we live, and they said north of this road. And I thought, but is it our road? Is it our canyon? So I woke my husband up and said, listen to this, because I kept playing the recording over and over and over to hear it again. And he said, well, let's just call the sheriff's department. So we called, and we didn't get a clear answer. They said, well, it's north, but go ahead and evacuate. About 2-3 minutes later, the sheriff's department came up with the lights twirling, and it was hot. We were without electricity. I had to quickly put on some clothes because I was sleeping on the couch. And I stepped outside to meet them, and they said we were under mandatory evacuation, that I needed to go now. And I said, well, I have 6 horses. Can I call my friend to have her come up the canyon and help me load horses and go? And he says, nobody's allowed up the canyon. At that moment, it didn't register to me that nobody meant the fire department. In all the other times we've had fires here, I had an agreement with the fire department that I wasn't to evacuate ever with the horse trailer unless I coordinated with them, because it's a very narrow road and we didn't want to meet face to face coming up and create a congestion. So I said, I then asked them, I said, okay, but I still have 6 horses. Can I evacuate? Because I was essentially still asking permission to make it down the road. And I said, so I'd like to take them down. And then they said, do you see that up there? And I looked up at the ridge, and I saw a red glow. There was smoke that was glowing. I didn't see flames, so it wasn't a huge concern yet. It didn't hit me, because I've seen glows before with fires being close. And they said, that's coming soon. You need to get out now. So I said, okay, and went to my husband and told him what was up. And he went one direction, taking care of getting our birds out of the house. And I went up to the barn to get horses. As I went up, I have 6 horses. I have one Toyota Tacoma. I have one 2-horse slant load, very old horse trailer, not extra tall, not extra wide. And I had a little mini hauler on the back of the Tacoma. I went up to the barn, I grabbed my 3 minis and all 3 and hustled them on down. And by myself, because my husband was in the house, and I loaded 2 of my minis into the tack room of the horse trailer after I threw out a lot of my tack, shut the door. I then took the other mini and had him go up a ramp into the back of my truck into the little mini hauler. Mini hauler is just a small box that looks like a miniature horse trailer on the back of my truck. I then hooked up the horse trailer, and then at this time I hustled. I jogged up to the barn, and I haltered up my 3 riding horses and had 2 in one hand, 1 in the other, and brought them on down to the truck. We didn't have power. We lost that during the day, so I had a flashlight under my armpit to see what I was doing, and came down and opened the horse trailer door. And I remember I had 2 horses in one hand, and my horses are taught to load 100% of the time. When I load my horses, for me, I never walk in the horse trailer with them if I don't have to. And obviously in this circumstance, because I had horses in one hand, they weren't tied to anything, and one in the other, their training came into play. I just unhooked the lead rope from the halter and asked the first one to step in. He walked in. My horses are also trained that they are not allowed out of the horse trailer unless invited, because I don't like horses jumping out rapidly. So he went in and stood quietly. I then took the other one, brought him around, unhooked him, and asked him to go into the horse trailer. I then took the third one, and it's tight. For a moment, I wasn't sure if there was going to be enough room, even though in my head I thought, surely I can get 3 in here. So I asked him to load, and he went in with his front feet, and I just lightly kicked his hind leg and asked him to step in, and he did, and he kind of pushed the other 2 over, and I shut the door and latched it. My husband came out of the house at that moment, and he said, "I'll follow you, let's go." After living here for 30 years, working with the fire department and working with my horses, I'm in fire country. I thought I had been extremely well prepared to face a fire. I did pretty good. It could have been a disaster for a few minor training issues. One of them was, if I had not been here and my husband or my son had to load the horses, I'm not convinced that my horses would have responded positively to them as they did to me. And in fact, I have 2 of them who I'm pretty sure would have said, "Who are you?" Even though they know my family, they would have said, "You never do this. I am not cooperating." So in that case, I may have lost my horses because I didn't bother to train with other people. The second thing I learned was, I assumed I could get 3 horses in a 2-horse trailer. I did. I was lucky, but I never practiced it. And that's going to happen all the time now. I think throughout fire season and a few times, during the year, everybody will be loaded as if I have to leave now. I always assumed too that my friend would always be there for me to come up and help me load, and we would do 2 rigs. And in fact, she kept saying it, like I said, at 11 o'clock, "Can I come up?" What I learned too is, if there's a fire and you're smelling smoke, get out now with the horses. Don't risk it. I mean, I got cocky is wrong, but complacent maybe, to think that, oh, it's fine, because she was more worried than I was, and I should have been more worried than her. The other thing I never practiced leading 3 horses down. They happened to be very good that night. Why they were, I don't know, because I never practiced. They were never trained to go 3 down. And that's both with the minis and with my riding horses. Those are the big take-home messages that I learned. The big message also that I'd like to stress is that I also learned is my training paid off. The years and years of telling my horses, I don't accept you saying, no, I don't load. I don't load on Wednesday. I don't load because it's hot. It's not acceptable. If ever I ask a horse to load and he doesn't load, he will get trained then and for many, many weeks afterwards. What saved their lives was their trust in me, because I had to load them and I had been loading them. I also had made plans in my mind for fire that if I have to do this myself, they need to load with just me. For all of you who are watching, I have been living in fire country for 30 years. I never truly believed we would lose everything. I never truly believed that I would have to do this. We did. We survived. My horses survived. It could have been a lot worse. I'm grateful that my horses got out with me. I have to say that they're a huge part of my life. Had I lost one of them, it would have brought me to my knees.